Yo, what's up YouTube? Good Graham back again. Now I made a promise in my last video to update you guys on whether or not the patch notes would bring any major changes, be that affecting my logic and reasoning as to why I think Rogue is the best class for you come Season 1, or actual balancing changes that alter the way the Rogue plays and feels. So here I am to uphold that promise and talk a little bit about the changes coming with Season 1 and how they affect not only the Rogue class, but all. Getting us started off here, I want to give a little bit of a refresher on why I personally think Rogue is the MVP of Season 1 and why it's the best option for you. Besides being one of the most versatile and well-rounded classes, giving you a multitude of options in regards to playstyle, the Rogue, but specifically the Twisting Blades build, is insanely fast and powerful. It's also probably the best at leveling within the game, and who knows, with the additions like the Malignant Heart that allows you to apply all imbuements, it can only get better. I do want to mention, even though I'll primarily be focusing on the Twisting Blade build, since it's what I find to be the best and most enjoyable option, all the other builds are just as viable or arguably better under some circumstances. For example, if you want an alternative to Twisting Blades, maybe try Flurry, or if you want to try more of a ranged bow build, Rapid Fire or Penetrating Shot are some of the best skills in the game when it comes to pushing in-game content, so maybe give those a look. Considering we'll have to make back all progress in regards to our characters and specifically the Codex of Power, I feel like the Rogue is the perfect option outside of personal preferences and what the meta is though. This is simply due to the fact that being the fastest and most efficient not only with traversing the world because of dash and shadow step, but at leveling, you'll have the upper hand compared to others in regards to being able to unlock all the codex aspects you want for all classes first, but also being able to get your hands on certain level, area, or world tier gated tools and items, for example the occultist or your class specialization. In my opinion, one of the best parts about using the Twisting Blades leveling build is that if done right, you will have made a close to, if not perfect viable in-game build by the time you have access to and are ready to start pushing that harder content. Keeping in mind your goals for the in-game and what you want your build to be, you can easily get by without having to change or refine anything come time to transition into the final stages of your progression. This is something that absolutely cannot be said for other classes nor builds. Many end up requiring a ton of prerequisites, and some might even require or suggest you run a completely different variation of the build entirely before you transfer over to your final in-game version. To save yourself the hassle of having to deal with that, I'd suggest giving Rogue a try this season. That way you can get a smooth, fast, and easy jump on the season's progression, but also not have to worry about squandering precious time and effort spent honing and refining your build simply due to that leveling build or class you chose not being viable in the end game. Now, I'm not saying every single variable will stay the same across the journey that is your progression. However, there are a large set of constants that persist into the end game on all iterations of the Rogue class, which make it very straightforward to create and maintain an enjoyable and operable build, but most importantly, make it attainable for an average player to do so. Like I referenced previously, there are plenty of classes and build variations that require a sum of prerequisites in order to even come online. When it comes to the Twisting Blades Rogue though, you only truly need one, the Blade Dancers aspect, which coincidentally and conveniently for us, you can get early on into your progression by snagging it up from the Codex of Power. Apart from that, almost every other aspect will depend on how you want to spec your build. There are aspects that boost poison if you want to run an infinite poison build like mine. There are a plethora of defensive aspects to choose from in order to get some survivability, and there are a multitude of options in regards to crafting a CC build. No matter which path you go down in regards to how you spec out your build or how you find fun in the game, the Rogue has got you covered with options that keep you entertained, engaged, and enthusiastic to push limits of min-maxing in order to see what's truly achievable. On the note of what's achievable, not only will the Rogue have the upper hand on progression as I stated, but the Rogue, with all its strengths, has some of the best chances to achieve really any feat in the game you put your mind to, whilst potentially being one of the first ones to do so at the same time. This definitely holds true now that the new patch notes have dropped and we can see that not only did some of the offensive stats in the game get nerfed, but the defensive side of things took a massive blow, losing on average 25% effectiveness all around. I will say though, it's nice to see the Rogue class specifically managed to dodge all the nerfs in my opinion, apart from siphoning strikes now requiring a lucky hit proc which strips some of the sustainability, but most importantly, bursting venoms went untouched. In fact, it technically got a synergy buff with the addition of the pestilent points aspect. Even with the main notable flaw or downside of Rogue being its squishiness, as long as you're built for the content you're engaging in, you'll find yourself having no issues whatsoever at any point in your progression. This is mainly due to a few factors. One is simply the survivability gain from having so many forms of evade and CC break. You can also pick up massive amounts of damage reduction through Dark Shroud and its respective aspects. Another being that the Rogue class has the most potential for defensive pickups, but specifically armor nodes within the Paragon board. On top of that, as a Rogue, you have a variety of options in regards to not only viable defensive aspects you can put on your gear, but also defensive affix rolls as well. Now, the Rogue's Paragon board can be primarily dedicated to offensive stat increases, but at the same time having defensive stat contributions, meaning under no circumstances will you ever be struggling for damage. And with those defensive stat increases, you won't really be worrying for survivability or sustainability either. This will allow you to spam defensive stats on your gear, as I have here. As you can see though, using this strategy even post-patch, I'm able to comfortably run what I would consider to be mid to in-game content with little to no issues, even without a completely god-rolled build. With that being said though guys, I hope this one helped make it easier for you to determine which class you want to play here come in a few hours when Season 1 drops. With all the new information and changes brought forward alongside it, my plans haven't changed, and I'll continue to push the limits on the Rogue class, and we'll keep you guys posted in the process. As usual, if you want to stay updated with my build guides, strategies, and everything Diablo 4, don't forget to subscribe, as I'll have a wave of new content flowing with the release of Season 1, and if you enjoyed the video, or it helped you out in any way, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Drop what class you plan on playing down in the comments alongside any other questions or feedback you might have, and thanks for watching. Peace out.